Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Grandma. Today we're going to make another fairly easy dish. Yesterday's dish was super easy and super budget friendly. This one also is pretty easy and not that expensive to make. Today we're going to make stuffed peppers. You don't have to stuff the peppers. You can just use this filling that I'm making and just serve it like that is over rice or noodles. But like Dino Brody won't eat the peppers, so we're just going to make an extra little bit and give him his filling on the plate. So I'm using ground pork. This is one of those versatile recipes again. It's supposed to be ground beef, but I'm out of ground beef and I'm going to use ground pork because that's what I have. These are actually sausage patties that I have, and I'm just breaking them up and I'm going to throw them in the pan and cook them up. It's same kind of pork meat. It's just that you just have to break them up. I just didn't want to use patties today. I don't want to have it. So basically what you do is you just ground your meat, in this case pork, season it up with some salt and pepper. There we are. And we're just going to let that cook a little bit, and then we're going to put the rest of our fillings in. Over in this pan over here, right over there, this one here, I've got my rice cooking. I am using whole grain rice. Finally mastered the art of cooking rice. It's not all that hard. It just took me a while to get it. I was always using minute rice, and minute rice is okay in some things, but some things you just can't do it. You just can't use it in because it cooks, and if it needs to cook too long, it just gets mushy, and then you're out of luck. Because mushy rice is gross. So we're going to let that saute while I'm going to prepare my peppers. So I've got nice rainbow peppers here. Again, you don't have to fill up the peppers. You can make this just like it is and serve it over either rice or noodles. It's better over rice. If you don't like rice, then go ahead and use noodles. Have mashed potatoes with it. It really doesn't matter because once I get everything in it, you're going to see how good it is. So I'm going to just show you and move my things over here a little bit. I'm just going to quickly show you. I mean, preparing a pepper to stuff is nothing. It's not rocket science. It's something that, doesn't really need explaining. But I would have not been able to do it the first time. I wouldn't, unless somebody showed me. So you just take your sweet peppers and you cut the tops off just like this. There you go. And you want to reach in there and pull out that seed pocket. You don't want the seeds. They're not hot peppers, but it doesn't matter because you want to fill these. Now this one is not standing up very well, as you see. So the trick to that is you don't want to cut through because you don't want your filling leaking out. You just slice a little tiny bit off the bottom, just like that, right there. And there you go. Perfect. It's standing up nice and tall. You fill it up. You put the top back on. There you go. After it's filled. You put these in the oven in a cake pan, like in a little shallow pan, and cook them for about 30 minutes. Your filling is going to get cooked. You just want to cook your peppers, and it doesn't take long. Like when I'm going to show you when they're ready to go in the oven, there's no difference what they look like cooked. The peppers will still look the same, and they're going to be, I'm going to get a spoon for this guy because this guy decided it's going to have an extra mess going on there. Real thick membrane. So we're just going to scrape those off because those are a little bitter. You don't want those. The white part of the pepper. They're not pleasant to eat. Now I'm going to scrape it here in my garbage bowl. It's good to have a little bowl next to you instead of going, but depending on how your kitchen's set up, you want to go back and forth to the garbage. So I just have a bowl that I put all this stuff in. So there, that's it. That's how you clean and get your peppers ready to stuff. And if you're going to go ahead and use this without filling the peppers, then it's, I guess you can call it sausage and rice. You can cut up your peppers in the mixture. You can slice them up or dice them, and then you have sausage and peppers, and that's really good too. It's the exact same recipe for stuffed peppers as it is for sausage and peppers. So we're going to move those to the side. We're going to come on back over here to the stove and look at, see how, whoops, don't fall. And you're going to see how quickly that cooks. I'm just going to grab my wooden spoon. I'm just going to give this a good stir. We don't want this to burn. We just want it cooked through. And again, if it's not cooked thoroughly through, it's going in the oven for a little bit. So, I mean, pork is one of those things that apparently you can eat rare. No, I can't do it. It was drilled in my head since I learned how to cook. Chicken has to be cooked thoroughly. Pork has to be cooked thoroughly. Beef, you can have it rare, although you're not supposed to eat ground beef unless it's cooked thoroughly, because some kind of bacteria gets in when it's ground. I don't know. I don't like rare meat. I want mine cooked. You go out to a restaurant and they order steak. They say, how do you want your steak? I say, burnt. Char it. Blacken it. And cook it. Do not want to cut open a piece of meat and find some blood dripping out or pink inside. That's what y'all like to have. You go right ahead. Now there. You see how quickly I just chopped up those patties, and you see how easy and quick that cooked. And of course, if you're doing ground beef rather than ground pork, it will change up the taste a little. There we go. Get that camera. So now to that, yesterday I made, day before, I had, all of our tomatoes are coming like gangbusters in our garden. So I made stewed tomatoes. I just chopped up my tomatoes and put them in a pan and slow cooked them, like slow, low and slow. I had the heat on almost as low as my stove will go, and with some Italian seasoning and, you know, a little bit of chili, just a touch. I don't like anything hot, but just for the flavor. And I made them so the same way I would do salsa. I put that. So now that is not enough. So I do have some homemade salsa that I also made. So I'm going to use this in my, I'm going to sacrifice my salsa for my onions and for my stuffed peppers. You don't want a lot because the rice is going to absorb, you know, if it's too liquidy, it's okay because the rice is going to absorb it. And this is like a really another weekend meal that you can do real quick when you've come home from work at 5 o'clock. If you remember to take your meat out of the freezer before you leave work and have it thawing out, or just thaw it out in your microwave as soon as you do get home. And it, like, the timer has been going for 7 minutes, a little over, almost 8 minutes, and it's pretty much done. I did start the rice ahead of time before I went on camera, but that's 7 minutes, 8 minutes. You boil your water. If you don't know how to cook whole grain rice, you boil it's always a 2-to-1 ratio. 2 cups of water, 1 cup of rice, depending on how many servings you want. That is a serving. 2 cups to 1 is enough for like 4 or 5. You know, unless they're ginormous portions, and then of course you can add more. So I put that on. So you boil your 2 cups of water, and then you put in the rice. You immediately turn the heat down to low, cover it, and let it alone for about 10-15 minutes. I'm not going to add any more just yet until I add my rice, till I see if I need some more of a liquid. You can add a little bit of tomato sauce if you find that it's a little dry. Pork is a little bit drier of a meat, so you might want a little bit more of the juice. So there. Now, I'm just going to give this a little bit of a taste so I can see if I need to add any more seasonings. Now see, the tomatoes are seasoned and the meat I just seasoned, so it's just your preference, what you like, how much seasoning. You got to have flavor. Pork is a very bland meat, so you need lots of flavor. Perfect. I seasoned those tomatoes just right. And this is also, if you omit the meat and you just use your tomatoes, your stewed tomatoes like this, and add rice, that's what they call Spanish rice. And that's super good as a side dish too. But so like there for about, say, another 20-minute meal, start to finish. By the time you thaw your meat, cook it, cook your rice, prep your peppers if you're going to use them, get them in the oven, cook them for 30 minutes. So start to finish, it's about a 40-minute meal. It's going to take you it's that easy, that quick. Well, my rice is still cooking here. It's going to take another few minutes. Give it a stir. You can open the top and check on it if you're like me and you forget to set your timer for like 15 minutes. Because, yeah, I did. And that means that I don't know how much longer it should be cooking. But I started it just before I turned the camera on for the video. So, you know, that was 10 minutes ago. So there, it's got about another 5 minutes. And it does take, you know, a little bit. If you have to, basically, you have to leave it alone. You have to kind of let it do its thing in the pan. But it's good. It's, you can use, instead of water, what I have done a lot of times, instead of using water, I will use chicken broth or beef broth, depending if you're using it for, if you want it for steak, you can use it for beef broth. So anyway, you want to flavor it, you go right ahead. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and get my pan ready. I've got a little baking sheet here, like a little square, because I'm only doing 4 peppers. So I just got a little 8-inch square pan that I put a bit of water in the bottom. And I'm going to set my peppers right in there. A little bit of water so they don't burn on the bottom. And you fill them up with the filling. You put them in the oven for, like I said, about 30 minutes. And that's it. And it's a full meal. You've got rice, you've got meat, and I am having beans out of the garden for supper. We've got some nice fresh green beans. If you don't have a garden, that's okay. Go to your produce department. Have whatever you want. If you think this is going to be a full meal without the extra vegetable, because you are getting peppers and you're getting tomatoes. Although technically tomatoes are a fruit, some people still consider them a veggie. You're getting that. There's peppers in that, because when I made the salsa, it's tomatoes and peppers and onion. And then so you get your meat, you got your rice, you got a full meal right there. And if you don't want it in the peppers, don't have it in the peppers, just have it on the plate like it is, which is the way, like I said before, Dino Brody's going to have it because he doesn't like the peppers. And then this will be left over. There'll be enough filling left over, and it's so good the next day. It's like leftover spaghetti. Leftover cold spaghetti the next day. Oh my goodness, it's so good. Especially if you're fortunate enough to be able to make your own homemade sauce. With our garden, we have gazillion tomatoes, and because of our growing season was kind of crappy this year, they're all just coming in now. So, like, here it is, mid-September, and we're just enjoying our tomatoes. We have for about, I'd say about 2 weeks now, maybe a week and a half, that we've really had a good crop of tomatoes. So I'm going to be making lots of spaghetti sauce to put up in to freeze. I don't jar it. I just put it in, make it up and put it in containers and freeze it. Or you can make stewed tomatoes. You can make salsa, like virtually anything. Like you just call up tomato recipes on your computer, and you'll find it's time consuming, especially if you are going to can them, but it's so rewarding at the end because it's just so much better having the fresh. And then you can just take out a container out of the freezer, or if it's jarred, out of the cupboard, and have it for whenever you feel like it. You don't have to go to the, oh geez, I want spaghetti today, but I don't have a can of spaghetti sauce. You just have to, you do have to remember though, when you make it, when you cook your spaghetti sauce, don't thicken it until you're ready to make it, especially if you're going to freeze it. Because when you freeze it and then you thaw it out, it's going to be a little bit watery. So what you do is when you thaw it out and heat it through, then you get a can of tomato paste, depending on how big a pot of sauce you have, if it's 1 or 2 cans you need. And it depends on how thick you like your sauce. I like mine real thick. It's just got to, when you use it with a slotted spoon, I don't want it dripping through the slotted spoon. That's how I like mine, how thick I like mine. So we're going to give this another, this is done. I'm going to shut this off, and you can see how nice and moist that looks with the salsa and the tomatoes, the stewed tomatoes that I made, and sloppy kazish, and goes on the stove. So that is your meat filling. I'm going to give my rice another check here to see how it's getting along. It is just about done. just give that another, I'm going to turn it up just a bit. I'm going to give that another like 2 minutes, and then I'm going to pour the rice into here, just mix it all in, fill up my peppers, put them in the oven, and that is what's for dinner tonight. So easy, and again, budget friendly, because well, peppers are about the most expensive things you're going to get. Pound of pork, ground pork, is not that expensive. You don't even have to buy ground pork. If you get pork sausages or patties on sale, the sausage you get for, just take them out of the casing and use the meat, because sometimes you get a really good sale going on and you get a really good deal. Just take them out of the casing and just use, you don't want the casing in something like this. You want to just have the meat. And hamburger, you know, you can't do anything about that. You got to buy ground beef unless you have a meat grinder. You have to buy ground beef and mix it in like this with it. It's the same identical thing. When I write the description box and the recipe, I'm gonna just guesstimate at the amounts I put in, because you can see what I just did on the video. I just kind of threw it. There was 5 sausage patties, which I guess was about a pound, maybe a little more than a pound of sausage. And then the tomatoes I really didn't measure because I had them made up already. So, you know, a couple of cups of, you can buy cans of stewed tomatoes. Just drain the liquid off before you put them in there. They even come flavored nowadays. You can buy them already seasoned, which saves you all that extra work too, if you're not wanting to. Let's just check on this rice. It seems to be taking a little bit longer. I'm gonna just see if it's done enough, because once it usually has to absorb the water to be all done. Just about another minute. I just took a little spoonful out of there. It won't take much longer. That's the tricky thing with cooking rice. You know, you just have to, if you're not a patient person, start it a little sooner so it'll be ready for when you are. You know, I've got 4 peppers and 3 pepper tops. I'm missing a top. I don't know what I did with it. Well, all right now. Oh, there it is. I put it in my throwaway bowl by mistake. There we go. So you don't have to put the tops on. It just keeps the moisture, the filling kind of moist and nice in there. It doesn't really matter because you don't need the tops of the peppers anyway, so it makes no difference. So I've got 2 red, an orange, and a yellow peppers. Peppers are extremely healthy. They're full of vitamins and nutrients. Some people think that the colored peppers, the red and the orange and the yellow, are healthier than the green. I don't know. It's mixed results. I've heard that they are, and I've heard that they have more vitamin B12 and that kind of thing in it. And then other people will say, no, they're all the same. All I know is they taste different. They taste way better. They're way nicer flavor with the the colored peppers than they are with the green peppers. Green peppers are good if you like them, and you know. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and, now this hasn't absorbed all the water, but it's done. So I'm just going to pour it through a little bit of a strainer. Normally you would not do this with rice because it's done when all the water is absorbed. For some reason, it's just not, maybe I'm just being a little impatient, but it's because it's done. There's not that much water in it, but I'm just going to go ahead and drain it so I can show you how it looks and what you're going to do with it. So you can use minute rice with this dish. It will not get soggy because you're going to, you're not going to have it in the oven that long, and it's going to mix in here. I would probably put it in raw or just partially cooked, because then otherwise it will maybe get soggy. I have made them with I have made stuffed peppers with minute rice, and it's okay. But once you get the hang, and whole grain rice really is good. It's so much, it's like a difference of having a fresh tomato or one that's been from the hothouse that you buy at the grocery store in January, and it's not very flavorful. That's the difference in whole grain rice and minute rice. Minute rice tastes okay, but whole grain rice has got a whole different flavor. And again, if you cook it in broth rather than just water, you're going to flavor it up, because rice will absorb the flavors that you cook it into. So there, that is it. So now I'm going to take my ladle, and I've got my pepper right here, all cleaned out and all set. And all you do, simple, nothing magical about it, just take a ladleful. You want to pack it in pretty tight, because, you know, this is your meal and you want a fair amount to eat. You can always have some of this on the side if you're still hungry. Just put it on the side. So there, you push it down and pack it in there and put it in that. Oh, that's not a good idea to put your hand right in that hot pan, now is it? And there you go, stuffed peppers. You sloppy me. Scooch it back up in there. There. And it doesn't change. The pepper will get soft. It will not change colors. This will not change colors or anything. This is already cooked. So in 30 minutes, I'll have stuffed peppers, and they will look just like this. So that is what's for dinner tonight. I hope you all enjoy it and try it. Leave me a comment below if you have any questions about it, or if you think you might want to try it. And if you do try it, let me know what it was like for you. And make sure you hit the like button, please, because y'all are viewing my videos, but nobody's hitting that like button. So let's get 50 likes on this one, and get some new subscribers if you haven't already. To those you have, thank you so much. Pass it on to your friends to watch my videos. And there you go, stuffed peppers for dinner tonight. Bye now.